I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm Jay Clay, rapper and spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Perfect. Everything, anything, plenty perfect. Everything, anything, plenty perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty perfect mode. Perfect mode, everything, anything, plenty perfect mode.
Perfect.
What up? What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. And first off, let me start by telling y'all that we love y'all. We're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere, sharing our thoughts, hopefully, and helping you realize that you are perfect. And the only reason that you think that you're not is if you're looking at this person on the side of you and saying, I'm not them. But guess what? You are you, and that's all you need. And of course, it's yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. And I have my boy Jay Clay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we about to jump on here and talk about the other side of creation. I guess I should say the other side of creation. Yeah, I got that, bud, baby. Let's go. What's up, Jay?
Yeah. What up? Happy Sunday to all my Sunday people in the perfect place at the perfect time, doing perfect things. Shout out to Sis Muhammad. Peace and blessings, family. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And before we started, I just want to give a nod to last week's episode, Back to the Basics. If you missed that episode, go back and watch it. I can't stress it enough. I kind of had a perfect week this week as far as like being the most productive I've been in a while without sacrificing any of the cool, fun things I wanted to do and just being on track with everything I want to be on track with. And it's cool. And also I want to shout out our Patreon, our patrons. So check out the link in the description. You want to support Perfect Mode and all that. But yeah, man, let's get into this.
So, so number one, I just want to kind of reiterate what you said about last week's show. You want to talk about your boy being locked in, boy. Your boy was locked in last week and all week. So, I'm always definitely appreciative. And I also want to say this to, everybody that's listening. Though we do this show and we share with you our thoughts and the things that we believe and hopefully helping you realize your perfection. But this is more helpful to us than I think it could be to, anybody in a lot of, because, a lot of times, and this is just my personal coming out, a lot of times, we are looking for people to give us guidance and lead us, but you got to always remember that you within yourself, and that you're willing to share is also to follow to help you overcome anything that's in front of you. And that's the reason why I emphasize perfection and how perfect you are. But Jay, the other side of creation, bro, where was you at, man?
Yeah, man, the other side of creation. So as we know about creating, we can understand our divinity. We can make something anew and understand the power that we possess given to us by our creator. And by stepping into that, sometimes we might, craft a song, draft a paper, do anything, do work with our hands. But the other side of that is our imagination. And we don't always give it the fullness or the gravity that it deserves because we do it automatically. Like we don't realize that the world that we're interacting with are the belief systems we each hold in our imagination. So even me and you, we both live in different worlds. We interact on certain areas of it, but there's so many things we see differently built based on the constructs we have in our mind, in our imagination about what means what means that. And so by paying more attention to it, we can direct our imagination in such a way that we can live the life that we want. It doesn't always have to be on the outside. It doesn't always have to be, we have to take this outside action. The action just reinforces that what's within. So the action is a part of the equation, but the one of the most important parts of creation is starting in our imagination.
The funniest thing about this synopsis that you just gave, bro. Like it's funny how this world works. So number one, this is just a thought that I had to myself, right? And it's definitely about living in my own imagination in a world that I feel like is the most fruitful and valuable world that I possibly could enjoy, right? And then I thought about all the outside forces that you know, everything from without, that again, something that I've created. I know everything without I created, but I also how I allow it to influence the creation. And what I mean by that is, as an example, I have tons of forces around me that have always said, Troy, don't forget about yourself, right? And the reason why they say these things is because they see how enthralled I am in my children, right? And so what ends up happening when I hear these things, it makes me think that I've forgotten about myself. When in my imaginatory world, all that I do for them are included in myself, right? And so it's, and again, I'm trying to paint the picture to show you that a part of this other side of creation is allowing other people's imagination to dictate the way that you live in your own creation. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so much it's so much in that, like, we don't realize something comes up, you know, something comes to the surface, a thought, an idea, a situation, and quickly we attach so much of our imagination to it already. And again, we don't realize it's just second nature. It's just like, oh, this means that. Uh-oh, I got to be scared, worry of this because maybe I'm having this trouble, or maybe this life event is going to change because of this. Like we're already attaching so much of our imagination reactively, instead of saying, taking a step back and say, okay, I am the creator of my of sorts of my world. How would I have this be? What would I have this mean? How can I see this situation? So like you said, like your everything with you and your children are involved in one thing. Like it's not a separate thing in your mind, in your imagination. And so reality has to bend to your imagination, because again, it already does. We do it reactively and we say, see, I knew it, but it's because yes, you did know it. You are the source of it.
So to your point, and again, that point that I gave, or the example I gave, is about something that I've already decided, right? And then talking about forces coming in, trying to I guess limit or put a restriction on how far my imagination can grow within that. And I think that's what happens is when, now I'm gonna take other people out of it, right? Mm-hmm. And go back to the point that you're making when you said once our imagination kicks in, we allow it to branch out and create all these different scenarios or all these different things that potentially could happen, right? But along with that, with there starts, you create limits within that as well. But a lot of those limits are created based off what you believe other people or other forces have an effect on your creation. And I think that's part of when it comes to limitation and the limitation of our thinking, or not allowing our imagination, or as Sis Kamaria said, never stop dreaming. You will halt your dream because of what you think. Go ahead, Jay.
Right. Exactly. Like those limitations are important, even within our imagination. Like again, like our imagination is without ends. Like there are people. What's the guy? Tesla. I've heard that he made parts in his imagination. Like he so cultivated his imagination that was his favorite playground. And so in doing that, he would attract the physical components to his life, where he knew exactly what he needed to create these things that we still use as the foundation of our technology today. There's a what's the guy, Napoleon Hill. He's an author, studies successful people, author of Think and Grow Rich. He talked about how he had a council, and he said that you can do the same thing, like a council of people in your imagination, dead or alive, whoever you want to counsel with. And just imagine it like you have your weekly meetings, you have the round table, you speak to them how you would speak to them, you receive information from them, and this is all in your imagination. But the thing is, like we think imagination is just like this separate thing that has nothing to do with reality. And the truth is, it actually has everything to do with reality. And it's important that you cultivate it so that you won't become a, what do you call it, like under its heel, because you let it run wild, so to speak.
the crazy part about this though, bro, is the fact that we don't actually, I mean, I think that we all cultivate it in our own ways, but the problem is we cultivate it with limitations. And so there's a magical world that we try to say that we will not allow ourselves to live in, even though the constructs of our mind is based off of belief. Like anybody that has any kind of religion or spirituality or anything, there's a magical place that we try to separate ourselves from, even though we're saying that we believe in it. That's number one.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why I like to simplify things to the smaller things. And you're 100% right. Like nothing is done without imagination. And if you think about the stories of, you know, many quadriplegics or paraplegics who lost the movement of their body parts, right? And then they were able to start doing it again. A part of that was them envisioning themselves doing something that they could not do at that moment. And again, that's, you know, on a small, you know, that's, I guess that's a big scale, but I'll even break it down even more. Like some people cannot get up out the bed in the morning, man. Like, but a lot of us know we're going to get out the bed in the morning, which is the reason why we do it. Like that is like we cultivate our imagination only to the point of disbelief. And let's read what Candace said. Candace says, we're so focused on critical thinking that we forget about the importance of our imagination. 100%. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I love what Candace said because, yeah, like critical thinking a lot of times is based on what is, in a sense of not even what is, what has happened so far. But imagination is like, it doesn't matter what happened, we can always create a new. We can always create it how we would have it be. And that's the most important key. Like if you can think critically from that standpoint, like it doesn't matter what has been, it doesn't matter what people have deemed true or not true or fact or fiction, like you can create worlds. And it's amazing to see when you, how do I say this, when you live your imagination in such a way and then you see people respond to it without you even verbally letting them know. Like it's the most magical thing. And this is just a reminder, like we all know this, but we should take the time to align with it in a way that we should direct it. There we go.
Yeah, and again, that's the crazy part about it for me is that I know that we're literally doing it, and a lot of times we're doing it, receiving things that we claim that we don't want, right? But we are facilitating it happening. And again, just to kind of give examples, there have been plenty times, bro, where I'm, you know, in the past where maybe I had been upset with somebody, right? And prior to being around this person, I could I literally could imagine. Now, again, this is not something that's happened. I can literally imagine the way that the conversation is going to go. I can imagine we're going to each other. And then the moment when I get around this person, it literally plays itself out that way. Even I'll even bring it to current time. There have been plenty times where if me and my wife had a disagreement, it's like predicting the future, but you're actually bringing it to fruit because you can create whatever lane of life you want. And literally, I could speak exactly what she's going to say before it happens. And I'm pretty sure she can do the same thing, but we're not realizing the power in it. We're not realizing that, hey, in the moment's time, I can go out to, just hypothetically, I can go out to this business. They're going to say this to me. They're going to give me this much money because our beliefs limit us because of the magical portion of the forces that we feel like we have in us. We don't feel like are that capable, even though we do it every day. Go ahead, Jay.
Right, exactly. Like even now, even with this awareness, I sometimes catch myself in an imaginary argument or an imaginary discussion where, oh, I can say this to make sure that I win. I wish somebody would come at me like this because this is exactly what I'm gonna say. And it's like, no. Why would I even build that kind of framework in my imagination? Why not have one of open communication where it's harmonious? It's harmonious communication. We both come out feeling like we gained something, or that we enlivened each other in another way in all conversations. And because that's more of like, if I get to choose and direct my life, that's what I would want. And so like I have to be diligent that I'm not creating these other facets of things that I have no business thinking of if this is what I truly want for my life.
Real talk. And Candace said it's like we're relying on the imagination of only a few people in the world. And to that point as well, like even to your point, Jay, that imagination of other people becomes a statue in our lives. So when I say that, I mean limitations. Like we will hold on to limitations and then we will shun unlimitations. So again, like if somebody says you can do anything, there's always somebody around that's saying you can, but right. And so what we'll hold on to is you can, but, and not that you can do anything. And so now that we move is we're looking for the but because we've allowed that to be the statue that we're willing to hold on to. And again, even with that being said, there are millions of examples of things that have been created or done that have never been done before. And we could, I guess, uphold and yell that stuff to the mountain, but yet and still the but is prominent things in our life. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, to that point, like I got a line on one of the songs where I say they think that you're the devil when you tell them you're a healer, and it's crazy. Like if somebody shows you a way that you can instantaneously heal, you might be like, no, that's not of God. That's not, like. But it's like, why would you even think that when God is aligned with light and love and healing and certain things, but we limit ourselves, maybe even because of the avatar that's bringing it to us, we've judged against that. And then also to what Candace was saying of like we rely only on the imagination of a few people. That's so true. Like
Real talk,
right now, it's the political land because the elections and stuff are coming up, and a lot of them are using fear tactics. Like I got something in the mail that they'll highlight what they think people think is the worst possible outcome just to spark you into action, but the action is based on a fear reality, when it's like that doesn't have to be a reality. If you're going to take action on the reality that you want. And that's all we're saying. Like just take time out to see to decide what you want, and then make sure you take the action and do the necessary steps to align with that.
Now, again, even to that point, bro, like we can read the whole message, but there's still only something that we're going to pick out. It's the video that they always, I guess they use it in trainings and talk about how we have a lack of focus, I guess, in a sense. And a part of that is a lack of focus within ourselves. That's what I'm going to start by saying that. But there's a video and these people are on the screen and they're just playing around and doing all of this different stuff. And then a man in a monkey suit walks behind them, and then he kind of walks back and does all this stuff. And then you never see him because you're so focused on the limitation, I guess. Like there's no way that a monkey could walk across the screen while I'm watching. I would not allow that to be something that I can capture within my belief. I allow the stuff that's in the front to be the leading factor for everything that I got going on. And again, that's what I think about our imagination. Like you can dream of flying, right? And then in the forefront, when you wake up, you'll see everybody in planes, or you'll see people jumping off a building and hitting the ground, or there's all these different things that are set to offset your belief. And I'm not telling anybody to go jump off a building, but I'm just letting you know that a part of this is about belief, right? If you want to use the Bible as an example, when Peter that was walking on water?
Yeah, I think so.
It was him, and then he was fine at first, and then all of a sudden he stopped believing, and then he ended up going. That's how we are. Like that limitation, we don't realize how crippling it is. And again, even if you take it to the smallest examples, like my sons play basketball, right? And I know I'm guilty of telling him all the time, nobody makes all their shots. And I hate it because there's a belief in me that says that somebody is going to come along one day and make every shot that they shoot, right? So I'm held to that belief, right? So I tell my son this type of thing all the time, which he's starting to, like, based off what Candace said, he's starting to allow that to be a statue in his life, right? Now, the way that I kind of offset that or I counter that is when he shoots and he misses it, I make him say to me out loud, I'm going to make the next one, Dad, or I'm going to make the next one, Coach, because I'm trying to help him to instill in himself that No, it doesn't matter what anybody said to me before. The next one is good. And again, he had this whole wall put up because of me and all the other constructs around him that make him that are statues that tell him the opposite. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and which brings me to my next point with that, with cultivating your imagination on the other side of creation, is if you're not firm in it yet, if you're still kind of working out the details and you know that it could be a stretch from the current reality, don't be so quick to share it with the world. The reason I say that is because some people may combat it instantly, and so now you're stuck in a loop of trying to prove why it does work while also hearing reasons why it doesn't work. And why it doesn't work doesn't matter. All that matters is if you can see it and feel it and taste it and touch it, like all of this within your imagination, it will come to fruition. And so until you're strong enough to share this vision with others, don't or just share with the few that you know that they won't judge or they won't go against the grain, or that they will support you in holding that vision, because then of course it makes it easier. And then Candace said, preparing for the worst possible outcome. I've held myself back because of this mindset. Yes,
bro. And then also to your point, like about not sharing it. And again, and when you say people that are close to you, I would still encourage you not to share it. And the reason why is because you have to listen to your heart, man. You got to listen to your heart in these things. And I think that somewhere whispering to us all the time, our heart is telling us that anything is possible. I believe it because I've heard it. I've heard it myself, right? And the reason why I bring it up is because there have been times where I've shared a disbelief to someone, and then inside of me is saying, that's not true, don't you? And I feel some type of way about it. And I hate it. And the craziest part is there's an internal confrontation that happens in these moments. And that's when you're talking about what Candace is talking about, preparing for the worst possible outcome, though that doesn't have to be yours. And that worst possible outcome starts to shout louder than your heart telling you, you got this mug, you got this mug. And I would never speak it out, even though I'm not saying that I don't do it, because I do it today, right? I'm not trying to exclude myself. I do this that Candace said and that you said, but I'm saying that I wish that I would, and I'm going to be more mindful of it, because I understand that even though the core of me knows it's not true, I'm making it more and more real every time I do it. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So check this out. Like, normally when people create for themselves, I'll align with it. If I know that's what they truly want. But if somebody kind of curses themselves, like, I'll be quick to say that's not true. Like, you've done this, you've healed in this way. But with that, one of the coolest things that I've started to witness, and maybe everyone watching has witnessed it too, is when someone says something, but they're so strong with it, but you in your soul knows it's not true at all. And it's not anything that they're lying about. Like, they just truly believe that that's true. And so you come like, no, like, it's true because blah, blah, blah. And then they just switch. And it's amazing because they didn't necessarily switch because they now believe it's the truth. They switch because they believe in you. They see how much you believe in it. And that's what happens when you're aligned with your imagination, even if it's not in reality yet, but you know it to be true. Everything and everyone would just switch and be like, oh, I guess this is true.
So, quick confession real quick though. Like, and you are 100 about that, for straight up though. Like, because our minds have changed because of somebody's belief before. That's number one. Especially we knew that heartedly was in it. It made us open our eyes, not to necessarily say change our mind, but it opened our hearts to see different than what we were seeing. And that's what happens with what you're talking about. But this is the confession part of it, right? Before our show today, I was watching Captain Marvel. I told you this, right? And there was a song on right before we came on, and the song was "I'm Only Happy When It Rains," right? Now, this is the funniest part about this confession, right? When I started singing the song, before you even heard me, I literally thought what you said to me, and I'm gonna tell everybody what you said to me when we came on, right? But I thought to myself what you said, right? And then I thought to myself, if I sing this when Jay Clay comes on, he gonna say something to me about this. I knew you was I knew you was going to. And so it was really a test for myself, right? It was a test for myself to disprove what I know is not true, right? And then it was also a test for myself to see if the alignment that I put in my life, is it going to stand up the way that I know that it will, right? And so when I came on, so for everybody that knows, there's a movie called Captain Marvel. It's in the Marvel universe. I've been catching up on the Marvels, trying to keep up with my kids, and they were singing a song that says, "I'm only happy when it rains." And so when Jay Clay's just talking about whenever somebody's saying something that he does not feel to be true, or he feels that is and somewhat not helpful to someone, he's going to always speak up. And I did this purposely before I showed to see if he was going to speak up. And I sung the song, and he said, "What? You only happy when it rains?" Don't say. He literally told me, "Don't say that." And I said, "Ah, man, that's from a movie." And this is the funny thing about this whole show, bro. The other side of creation, when you talk about imagination, creating to verify and make true what you want to be true. I knew you were going to do this. I knew you were going to say that. And I almost verbatimly, and it wasn't verbatim because I want to tell the truth, but it was almost verbatim what I thought you were going to say. And the word that you used was curse, right? And that's what I thought. And I said that to say that I created a world to make true what I wanted to be true. And you helped me to do that. So salute to you, bro, for being.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I might have used curse, or I might have used spells or something. But I mean, and just for those that are wondering, like, you know, we all say stuff all the time that we know might not even be true. But the thing with songs, like, songs add a whole nother power to it. It's like it has a resonance to it. And even though we may not agree with certain things of a song, if we sing it long enough, it affects us in certain ways. Like, I mean, you know, like me and you, we grew up on hip hop, and still some of the most craziest songs may be our favorite songs, and we don't think it has an impact, but it's just like ways where we might look at someone sideways because we've been indoctrinated by these ideas, when it might not even be that serious. Like, they could just be looking for love, and if we just show it to them, then it doesn't have to be this conflict with these new groups of people that we've encountered. I mean, just little stuff like that. So I know we kind of digressed a bit, but I wanted to just say that like song is like belief times 10. So like even in cultivating your imagination, cultivating your beliefs, make up songs within it to reverberate throughout your whole essence, so that it makes it easier for you to remember and align with these things.
But and again, I don't want to even say we die, because I think it's important. When we talk about the other side of creation and in your imagination, the things that you say, the things that you align with, the things that you allow to be a part of your core, because again, it's your belief, are going to be what rises to the top of your imagination. And again, using song as the example, shouts out to It's the Technique. It's my little cousin. He had a song one day, and he said, "Grown a man, dog, I don't wear Vans," right? And from that time forward, and I'm not a person that if somebody say go shoot somebody in the song, I'm gonna go do it. You never know if I listen to it enough. You just never know, I guess, right? But I use that example because of the influence that it had on my life. I literally believe that as a grown man, I shouldn't wear Vans at that point. And I never bought any. And whenever you say give somebody a side eye, whenever I saw somebody in them, I was like, "Oh, you a grown man. You don't need to wear no Vans," right? And it was something that was ingrained in me in a way that wasn't necessarily the best thing. And again, I'm using that as an example because it's just shoes, right? But the reality of it was, now I've crafted a world where, number one, I can't ever wear them if I like them. Number two, I'm going to be judgmental of someone even if they like them. And now I can limit the limitations when it comes to creation, imagination on how far or they can go, because I'm going to make sure I verbally or emotionally or telepathically, show them that this is not the way that it's supposed to be. And I hate to minimize that thought process. That's the reason why I said it's not a digression, it's the truth. And it was so hard for me to come back from that. Something so small. And it just show you the power and how it will influence your imagination. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And not only music, like of course TV shows and movies as well, because like certain narratives stand out to us for a reason. It resonates with us more than others, and we might start believing in the importance of certain conflicts, and we might start saying, "Oh, that's wrong that they did this," without even questioning, is it really wrong? What makes it wrong? What's so bad about it? What's so good about it? But in that, we start associating like conflict and these soap opera type stuff with affluence, with what do you call it, success, because we see it on the big screen, and so we manifest that within ourselves. If somebody does the slightest thing that's might even close to it but not close to that thing, but not exactly that thing, like we might impart that on them so that we can feel more important. Like we're crafting this soap opera where we're the one who got taken advantage of, so now we can be the one that seeks retribution or revenge or all this other stuff. And again, it's not always that way, but unless you're paying attention to it, like that's the thing, like being aware of these certain things, that you're not bringing in these narratives and then assigning them to others in your life when it shouldn't be there, when you can assign a happy narrative, a peaceful narrative, one of harmony. So much so that it actually changes the programs that you like watching, because you like, I don't want to, this does nothing for me anymore. They're just doing this to get a reaction out of me, or to make me focus on this, missing the humanity that's like in the video you talked about where the bear was moonwalking or something. But
yeah, and again, I think a part of that too. So number one, what I hear you saying is subscribe to that which you want to believe, or that you in ways that you want your imagination to grow, because this is the true reality of this conversation. It doesn't matter what we say. Some people's boundaries within their imagination are set, right? They're not going to be willing to, when they see somebody so passionate about something, to open up their heart to see something new, right? But for those that are, subscribe to that you want to be true. For myself, that's the reason why I like sci-fi, right? And the reason why I like watching sci-fi stuff is not because I want to go play with aliens or anything like that, but it's to open my mind to understanding that I don't want to give myself any earthly bound limitations. And again, I'm not trying to go to space. I don't want to go to space. I'm fine where I am. But I also know that, when we go to, Mexico, jumping over the side of the pool to the other side of the pool might be something that I might be fearful of because of limitations here. And the reality of it is, you see me do it before, but that's only because I was free to not be afraid. And that's the reason why I love the fact that you use the fear terminology, because a lot of our imagination is hampered by fears that we have seen, or again, what Candace was saying earlier, the beliefs of other people, relying on somebody else's imagination to dictate where we are or what we can do. And so, but go ahead, Jay.
Like we shouldn't let fear be the creative spark of our imagination. And a lot of times that's when people utilize their imagination, is in times of fear. Which is why like some people, they enjoy that because they feel people are easier to control because they're under the belief system that that's the best way to live, but only because again they're not tapped into their own power. And I want to make one small possible correction to what you said about like some people would never like listen and break through and change their beliefs, but I don't believe that necessarily, because I know how adamant I can be in my beliefs and still people get through, ideas get through, and it's like, wow, I never thought of it like that. Like this is amazing. Why have I not added this to my imagination before, or my collective set of beliefs before? And because of that same thing is the reason why once I decide something to be the true for myself, and I'm okay with it. Like it's not I'm not teeter tottering about it. I'm sure with it, I'm able to share it with the world now because it makes it easier for them to reinforce this belief because now it's our belief. It's not just my belief. Now it's a group belief. And again, and when you see that's what everyone is doing anyway. Some people may be using it to bring disharmony or separation, where I choose to bring it to remind us of our oneness, of our uniformity in a sense, and how we're all in this together, and how much easier and more fun things would be if we align in that sense. But go ahead.
No. I co-sign what you're saying and the correction. And the reason why is because my real heart is saying everybody has it, everybody has their time. And that's really the way that I should have conveyed that. And again, the reason why I know that is because I had my time. You know what I mean? And I remember the moment when, you know, some people might say you wake up, but I remember the moment when I started to realize what I realized today. And again, I also understand and realize that shouts out to you, Candace. We appreciate you joining us for the show today. But I also realize that, you know, there is always more that I'm gaining, which is the reason why we do the show. So yeah, you 100 with that. And you know, I just wanted to again just kind of jump back on it and talk about, you know, those limitations again. And you know, why are we so afraid to just let go? And that's the question. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And to that, it's because, like, again, the reason we're afraid to let go is because we already create, again, within our imagination. We might not be conscious of it, but we always do it. And so this world is our creation. This world is our baby, so to speak. It's like this is of my own making. I love it. Even though it's imperfect, I still love it as it is. And you don't want that to change because it's almost like, okay, I invested so much of myself into this. Who am I without it? Because I didn't believe in myself. I believed in this new thing that has me in it instead of me being the thing that created it. And so we're afraid because we think we lose ourselves. We think that we ourselves would be lost in the process, which isn't true. And we think too that we can't create a new. Like we think that what's created is it. That's the end of it, and that's furthest from the truth. So once you accept those things, it's like, oh, I can let go 100 million times if I want to. It doesn't matter.
So it's two things that I think about when you said that, right? So number one, I know it to be true. And the reason why I know it to be true, because I have a friend that's walking the path, is what I'm going to call it, right? And my friend, like literally, I mean, like verbatimly said that I want to have that, but keep all this. That's what they said. And so they told me that they did not want, they didn't say afraid, because I don't want to use that word, but they said that they're weary of losing this and going there because of what they know, right? So that's one thing. But the other thing that I think about is you know, successful, what we have deemed to be successful people when it comes to finances and money and businesses and things of that nature, and the way that they think, or something that we should adopt, right? And the one thing that I know about the majority of successful people that I've studied, again, I'm only talking success when it comes to businesses and, you know, financial gain, right?
Yeah.
They all have failed, or they all have started over multiple times. And so you look at people like Warren Buffett or all of these billionaires that have, or you can even say Donald Trump, right? Who have, you know, 20 different failed businesses, right? But they never were weary of the creation of something new, because they knew that they could do it again. They knew that they could recreate. They knew that they could climb whatever hill, whatever their ground level was, or they decided it was, they could always get back to there no matter what. And that's what how I feel, or what I feel that you're saying. And I agree. You know, a lot of times you're right. We're so attached to what we haven't even ourselves deemed as the success that we've wanted, right? And I'm only defining it as what you want, because within the world that you created, a lot of times we're seeking more. That could be information, that could be things, that could be money, that could be whatever. And we feel like if we step away from, or for lack of words, lose focus on what we have our attention on right now, then we will not have it anymore, or we'll lose it and we can't get it back. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, like, I have an idea in my mind, and I'll tell you afterwards. But how would you say we cultivate it? Like, we go back. Like, if we had to have like a step system, step by step, whether it's one step, multi-step, like how do we begin to take control of our imagination and our creative forces in that regard and start to direct them toward the life we want?
Funny, I'm gonna quote you, say, change your thoughts, bro. But the reason why I say that is because my answer is honestly, hold on to the thought or the belief that you want to grow. And don't allow previously or preconceived thought processes or other people's ideas dictate how you feel about it. And so what I mean is, again, I'm gonna use the Wright brothers as an example, right? The Wright brothers decided that they wanted to fly, right? This is what it was.
Yeah.
But everything around them said that you cannot fly. Like, it won't happen. And held on thought regardless of what anybody said. And eventually they flew, right? They eventually were flying, right? And so I think that holding on to a thought, regardless of what those previously thought restrictions or boundaries are, is very important. And actually going through the fire, again, that's the best way I can think of it, and coming out the other end, and regardless of how hot the fire is, just allowing yourself to just endure. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So okay, a few things. First, real quick on the Wright brothers. I had read somewhere that for years after, like, they figured out flight and stuff and planes, it didn't catch on to the general population because people just didn't think it was possible. Like, even if planes were going in the sky, they just disregarded it because they just couldn't wrap their minds around it. And I think that's crazy. But it's true, because there's so many things. Once we became aware of it, it's like, this was here the whole time. I've never seen this in my life, but it's evident that it was always there. Okay. So secondly, one of the things that I was thinking about how to cultivate this is really taking time out. Like, I take time out to make music. I take time out to do all these other cool things that I like, but I don't always take time out to cultivate my imagination, to see it in my mind's eye. But then when you said what you said, it was like a light bulb. You said the perfect words. You said, hold on to the thought that you want to grow. And so that got me thinking about how, we take a seed or more than one seed, because a lot of things come with more than one seeds, because they know. And you have these ideas, you plant them, it's in the dark, so you're not sharing them with anyone yet. You're just planting these seeds, and then you water them, and you kind of wait. So, like, water them is like you might go and read over it after you wrote it down. You might visualize it a bit, and then you step away from it, and then you come back and check the progress of it, and you say, oh, I do have this belief now. And you may have accompanied beliefs with it, like more beliefs that are similar to that, but you didn't have before. So it's kind of growing. It's sprouted a bit. And so you put it in the light a little bit, you give it some sunshine, you step back, you go about your business, you come back, same thing, and it grows. And so that would be my step. And that's actually something I'm going to try. I'm going to start with, like, I'm going to say seven seeds of just ideas. And I'm going to water it and then take a step back, come back, get it into the light, share it with y'all once certain ones have sprouted. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But go ahead.
So I'm going to tell you, the only reason I even use that phraseology, which again, I want to give you some props, is because you're the person that said cultivate. And when I think about cultivating, I always think about growing. I always think about, things sprouting. And I want to go even a step further. And again, this is just my belief. I don't know that it's true. I just saw it somewhere. But they said, I was looking at something online one day, and they said, do you know how a tree grows? and essentially they did a little, I guess I want to call it, they did a video and they kind of diagrammed how a tree grows. And they said a tree grows underground the same way it grows on top. So it kind of mirrors itself under. And they said, once you put the seed into the ground, the tree, it starts to go straight down and then it starts to spread out into roots. And at the top, it does the exact same thing. And so the way that I think about that in the terms of what you're talking about is we're planting the seed within ourselves. And the more you allow it to grow on the inside, the more it'll grow out externally, I guess I should say. The more you will be able to, other people will be able to witness it and you'll be able to see it with your own eyes. But I think a part of that is that a lot of times we plant all these seeds and we don't hold that belief or that thought or focus on that. And so the sprout is not growing within. It does not sprout. It does not, spread its roots within us, and it doesn't never allow it to grow on the outside. And again, this is something that I hold on to and I know to be true, because there are things that I've started that I just planted the seed and I never held the thought and it never went anywhere. And there are things that I've continuously held my thoughts on and I've witnessed them. And I'm literally witnessing them grow with the amount of attention I give the roots. And so, yeah, man, I wholeheartedly believe it, and I agree with you. Go ahead, Jay.
And same, like I've had things that once they came into the light, even a little bit, I stopped letting it grow within because I was looking for it to grow only within the light or without, so to speak. And so, yeah, I'm glad we're having this conversation because, yeah, it's important to hold that. Like our imagination should be so strong that we can see as clear as we see what we see right now. We can hear as clear as we can hear what we hear right now, and sense, and all of these senses. And again, it's funny that the word is called sense, because sense is not necessarily know. It's just you're sensing it, but within you can know it. And so it's very important that we do know these things. And yeah, I'm with it. And shout out to sis, how you pronounce her name again? Kamaria.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we are on YouTube. We actually streaming this on YouTube live right now. So yeah, Perfect Mode, just search Perfect Mode channel, and yeah, we're on there.
And again, just going a step further, bro, like when we talk about the imagination, and again, I saw this imagery online with the tree growing, and now that I just spoke it out, then I started to imagine, have I seen the things that I'm building growing within me? Like, have I saw the details of it? Like what it actually looks like? Like, did I see myself passing the real estate exam? I did. Did I see, myself having kids that grew up and played basketball? I literally, I was able to envision these things before. And when I think about holding the thoughts, I think about thinking about the detail. How much detail am I willing to internalize in order for me to witness it on external? And it's something that I'm definitely glad that we really touched on. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and sometimes I've seen this happen with myself where I get a new belief, like, or a new thought comes through, and it completely changes my reality. Like it's like it's like in that one instance, I destroyed a few worlds, or not destroyed, but I let them go, and I created new worlds for myself, because now it's like, oh, I never thought to envision myself in this space too, but I can see it. I can totally see it, and reality starts to reshape and reform, and it's a beautiful thing. And again, like, this should be a regular part of our regimen. Like we go out about and we try to create outwardly, but how often do we try to create inwardly? And it's important that we take and make the time to do so.
And I want to touch on that shattering or letting go of worlds, because the thing is, I said earlier, we're always cultivating, but the question is what we're cultivating. And I think it's important that we have to be able to recognize what it is. What worlds are we letting go, or what worlds are we cultivating, right? And the thing that came to my mind when you said letting the world go or shattering, I'm gonna use that same word, was I remember when I couldn't swim. I remember when there was a core belief for myself, right? So I always thought that I was going to drown. If I get in water, I'm going to drown. That was what I believed, to the point when my mom pushed me in the water, I thought I was going to die. And then the moment when I swim, I know I can't even imagine myself drowning today. You get what I'm saying? Because I can only imagine myself swimming. I can't even imagine. It's not even realistic to me, right? And I think that's a part of, you know, letting a thought go, or letting or shattering a world. And you know, we have to look and recognize what it is we're holding on to, and the reason why we're holding on to it, and then allow ourselves to envision something else and allow that world to let that world go. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I think that's key. You nailed it when you said you can't even imagine yourself in that other reality, and that's how you know, like if you can't imagine something that you want, then that means you have work to do. But if you can't imagine something that you don't want, don't worry about it. You're good. You're perfectly aligned with where you want to be. And again, the work, I know, like, work for some people, that's a tough word. Work can be fun work. Work can be easy work. Like it's all in what your imagination allows it to be. And so all we mean is just, well, all I mean by work at it is just make some time for it and act it out.
Nah, bro. Like I'm glad that you said you got work to do, because to me, what I think about when you said work, it's about applying more thoughts to something.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, you don't have any idea how to do it anyway. If it's something that you want and you haven't been able to figure out, you're bound by the limitations. I remember the first time I grew a plant in my house, and I remember how frustrated I was. Like, I went and got all of this stuff. I got the seeds, I got the little pies to put them in, and for whatever reason, I could not get the seed to sprout. I could not get it, but I was looking at it every day, and I just kept doing the same thing over and over again until I was able to get a seed to sprout. And that's kind of what has to happen. You have to, when I said you got to be able to endure, like if it's something you want, you have to be willing to endure the process of yourself realizing it. And that is not necessarily work, but it is. It's should be willing to work your own form, cultivate your own land, cultivate your own heart, cultivate your own beliefs. Like, allow yourself to grow so that way you can realize whatever it is that you want to realize. Go ahead, Jay.
So check this out. Like maybe 13 years ago, I had taken like Taekwondo for the first time, and I started liking it. I was moving up in ranks, and I think I had got to like blue belt or something. And I was like, man, for me to be blue belt, I'm not as good as I think a blue belt should be. So I was like, man, I decided at that point to get better. I think I found a DVD of like skills to practice, and I practiced it and stuff. And I bought a book that told you how to get faster, how to just be like throw faster kicks and all of this. And I was reading the book. They were having me doing breathing exercises, and they were having me visualize being faster. Now, at that time, I didn't know any of what I feel I know now. And it was like, what? Like, shouldn't I be working hard? Shouldn't I be, outwardly practicing some things to get faster? But I was like, well, maybe I don't know. Let me try it anyway. And so, like, only after a few times trying it, because I wasn't completely sold on it, I remember the next time I went to class and was doing things, like one of the top students and the instructor was like, he got better, didn't he? And like I felt good in my inside, like I was doing better. But that other part of it that we don't always give enough attention to can change everything. Like even on certain cartoons like Dragon Ball Z, I think it's cool that they would have him train sleep in his mind while he was healing, so that when it was time to get out and go and be in action, he was ready to go. So yeah.
Nah, bro. And again, these are things that we do anyway. We're either training ourselves for or against. It's just kind of how it goes. And again, you think about all the people that go interview for jobs. Some people, they just sit and they imagine an interview. They imagine what they're going to say. They imagine how they're going to answer things. They imagine how they're going to look. They imagine their body language. They do all. There are some people that say, you know what, I don't interview good. And so now they're imagining not interviewing good. I don't do this. Like, they literally do things. And you're creating or crafting exactly, I'm not going to say what you want in that instant, but what you believe is true to be of yourself. And when you do that, you make it real. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. No, that's the essence. Like people like people would just make that judgment as this. That's it. Like I don't do this well, or I'm not good at this, or I'm not that type of person, even though they may want to be. And it's like, well, can you be that type of person just for 5 minutes? Because if you that's really all it takes. You don't have to be this person for forever. Just be this person for 5 minutes, and you can make the most of this opportunity. I heard Jay-Z do an interview where he says, like, before he goes on stage, he visualizes like certain things. I do the same thing now. Like my last talks and performances, I visualize people being engaged, people being impacted by it, me being enlivened by it, and it always happens. And not to say that it wouldn't happen if I didn't do that, but I don't want to take that chance because I know the power that I have, and this is the reality that I want to live in.
Now, I love that because to me, that's again doubling down on I'm going to hold the thought for the belief that I want to be true. And it's something that we all do every day. But the thing is, we don't recognize why we're doing it or what we're doing it for. And I just challenge everybody that's listening today or anybody that's going to listen later to, take a second and think about what you visualize or what you imagine for yourself. Think about what beliefs you have within those things that you imagine, what boundaries, what restrictions you have within those. And then allow yourself to determine what you want it to be, regardless of what you think about or what you thought about it prior to. And then once you think about what you want it to be, hold that thought and be willing to endure. I use the story about me replanting the seeds over and over again, because at that time, I knew no matter what, I had already told my kids that we were going to grow some bell peppers and tomatoes. I had told them. And the one thing that I did not want to do was fail in front of them. And so I held the thought that no matter what, it was going to happen. And eventually it happened. And eventually I made true what I knew to be true in the first place. And that's what we have the power to do. Everybody is easy it is to think that everybody does succeed this way. Everybody doesn't choose to succeed this way, because sometimes people say, you know what, these seeds are just not going to grow. And they choose not to cultivate or hold that thought anymore. But go ahead, Jay.
And the beauty of it too, though, is like you said, we can always replant. We can plant new seeds. And sometimes, because like all seeds don't sprout, and some of the reasons that if we were real with ourselves and going into our imagination, when we plant that seed, we might be planting the opposite seed too, not realizing. And so they're canceling each other out. That's why it's important to be real with ourselves. By like rewording certain beliefs that we want to have, we can be in more harmony with it, because it might be too much of a stretch from where we are now. But there's always a happy medium. There's always a starting point that you can use to break through so that you can get to that next point. And so don't be discouraged if the seeds don't sprout right away. Just pay attention and plant the ones that you harmonize with that are in that direction.
Bro, I gotta say this before we get out of here, man. We've all heard the saying, I believe we have anyway, planting a seed of doubt. Have you heard that before?
Yes.
Planting a seed of doubt. And the thing that came to my mind when you said what you just said was believing in something that you think that you want, but having a doubt in it before you plant your seed, and you end up planting a seed of doubt. And that's the reason why that thing didn't sprout. Man, you hit that. So don't plant seeds of doubt, man. That's what I say, man. And I'm grateful for everybody that joined us today. Without y'all, we wouldn't be here. We'll be doing something, but we definitely wouldn't be here. But we hope that, us giving you our life and the way that we see things helps you realize that you are perfect, and don't base your perfection on anybody else besides yourself. And go ahead, Jay, you can take us out, baby.
Yeah, appreciate all y'all that joined us. Again, we stream live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram every Sunday at 12 Central Time, 12 p.m. noon. And yeah, just remember, you're a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode. If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm Jay Clay, rapper, the spiritual teacher. With my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real. So let's be perfect. Perfect. Everything, anything, anything, plenty things, perfect. Everything, anything, anything, plenty things, perfect. Mode. Everything, anything, anything, plenty things, perfect. Mode. Everything, anything, anything, plenty things, perfect. Mode. 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 Everything, anything, 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 perfect. Mode. Perfect. Mode. Everything, anything, 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 perfect. Mode.
Perfect.